bullet is still safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp.
Can I help you?
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board, barely held together by a metal clip. This sad display is made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. There's a piece of toilet paper, or is it cleaning tissue? No, it's toilet paper, desperately sticking to the back of the blue plastic clipboard. It's a metaphor for you. Below the pathetics, terror. Do not look into its blue heart. It's just toilet paper sticking to the back of the plastic clipboard. You can take it off if you want. If you want it to be kitchen tissue, it can be kitchen tissue. It's not though, it's toilet paper. Still wet, the toilet paper, I mean, kitchen tissue, sorry, peels off the plastic easily. All you have to do is shake it off your finger and voila, the ledger now looks marginally better. An aluminium block runs the width of the board, biting down on the paperwork. Its crocodile teeth are the only thing keeping the papers together. A regular pencil, the tip worn down to nothing, has been attached to the clip. The surface is interrupted by a silvery sticker. It's rectangular, sparkling with iridescence. You don't know how you didn't notice it before. Looks like an official mark, made to be low visibility outside the right circumstances.
What? That thing. It's a halogen watermark. We use it for adding information to RCM property. Any capable light with the right wavelength will do. All RCM vehicles have headlights designed to reveal halogen watermarks. Mine too.
This means you can read the watermarks if you just turn the lights on.
Okay.
While a bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand, it's a sorry sight. They're not exactly white. They're yellowed in patches by sunlight and alcohol and covered in dense blue handwriting. Ink escapes into watercolor patterns, reaching its tendrils across entire pages. The paper itself is checkered with faint red lines forming short paragraphs. Once in a while, there's a red stamp that exclaims, "Case files commit to paper." The case files themselves are plenty. You count more than 100 sodden, crumpled up, earmarked pages falling apart in your hands. They appear to be sufficiently organized and extremely dense, if mostly illegible. Work, strife, poverty, the Jamrock Quarter. These are handwritten logs of investigations dating back to January 51, this year. The exact number is hard to estimate due to missing pages and an odd naming convention. But there are at least 20, maybe 30 cases undertaken, not completed, mind you. It's the middle of March. You have attempted 2 cases a week on average. Yes, it appears you employ a, shall we say, robust yet literary system. Each investigation has its case number written on the margins, yet, still more tellingly, most are accompanied by a name. Yes, all caps. One is called The Next World Mural. Another, The Square Bullet Hole Murders. Another yet, The Unsolvable Case. Others appear more light-hearted. The guys on a couch in an unexpected location, and the murder at the hookah parlor. Even the rare article-free collapsing tenement. Murder features prominently throughout. You like this grimy murdering, don't you? It's going to take an effort to piece these case files together, but it can be done. Once you're done inspecting them up close. There is, for precisely one more. 15 pages near the end remain untouched by the damage. The checkered grid forms a structure of passages, breaking the case into subtasks to accomplish. The ledger only comes with an old, worn-down lead pencil. It will do, barely, but... Onto the paper with a brash free hand, uncannily similar to the rest of the letters. The wording comes easily. It's almost robotically simple, a language developed for mental rigor and simplicity. Inspect the victim's body. Get the body down. Interview the cafeteria manager. A satisfying slash sounds across the paper. You're done, it seems to say. And you, and you. Things to be done and things already done. The composition of reality. This is an extremely useful tool for a detective of the citizens' militia. Now all that remains is to name the case.
No, actually. Any ideas? Great. That's great. That's actually what I was thinking too. The Hanged Man. Good, strong name. We have a very good name for the case now. I'm going to start calling it the Hanged Man. It's good we sorted this out.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. In the back, you see thin, translucent copy paper, some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines, the middle ones are station calls, and the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields. These are quite sinister in tone. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing. All in a print so small it could be considered downright cute. A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form waiting to be filled in. Age, sex, condition of internal organs, color of the irises, predation marks, condition of sexual organs. Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead guys. What delicious power hid within this pathetic mess. You feel better. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper. It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back you see the embossed letters, RCM. Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment? And something small inside, light, made of paper or cardboard, or dried flowers perhaps. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. Blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board. The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surrounded by a faint air of spoiled meat, the stuff of death itself, and then sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. You know, like the bits they put into public piss bowls, probably called Fermi Discrete, or Axel, or something. At some point in its journey, the ledger has seen the inside of a public toilet. Which? You're not sure you smelled this one yet. Or worse, you have the nagging feeling you might have missed it. The lieutenant observes you, raising and lowering the toilet water-logged mass under your nose, trying to get a good whiff. A good, analytical whiff.
Excuse me, I just have to ask again. How did it get in the trash? Okay, no problem.
He's not mad. That smelly mess of paper in your hand is making him worry about the well-being of his own paperwork. That's all. Is not what you end up doing. You squeeze the plastic to slide it open, but nothing happens. Then you bend it some, then crack it. The goddamn thing is stuck. A hot flash of rage comes over you. For a moment there, before it recedes, you feel as though you might just squeeze a tear of anger out of your duct. Makes you wonder, why? It's unjust, that's why. You can't even get to that thing anymore. The ledger quivers in your hand. As it shakes, the pages rustle. This pathetic mess suddenly afraid of you for some reason. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB 41120111700, the next world mural. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Where do you want to start? Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month construction period, and the zoning plan in the addendum. There is no loophole. The simple truth is the current residents are going to lose their street access, and for the next 12 to 40 months, their lives will be dominated by constant construction noise right next door. Once the construction starts, it will probably take a few months, a year maybe, for even the most stubborn occupants to get tired of living like this. After that, they'll sell their property for cheap and move out.
I should have seen it. People will move away on their own accord. Yes, I suppose change always has a price.
The bullet is still safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
He's downplaying his excitement. The lieutenant is more than happy to show off his precious carriage. The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rails-per-minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Enigma comes to life with a whiny growl. Like a leopard waking from its sleep, yawning and roaring at the same time. The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar in your palm. As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears, a street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations. There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows. The first row has 18 dots. The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some. There are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150, at least. Maybe even 200. The last row has 3 perforations. That's it.
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look.
Son, here is where we score your life performance. You better hope it's good.
The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered? Maybe you were a diplomat, or in PR. Doesn't matter, I suppose. Let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see... Wow, more than 200. It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers. Call it what you want. You were a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there.
Confirmed kills? That sounds pretty evil. A drink would soften that feeling.
For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock Quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way. There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for.
He's sincerely glad you're not a scary predator. Not to say relieved you're competent. The lieutenant nods. The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights. You catch a faint glimmer from a broken beer bottle in the distance. Sounds. 2 men engaged in a drunken argument, followed by the closing of some distant window. In the middle of a broken plaza, illuminated in a cone of light, 2 men, one slim, the other sturdy. They are on the city stage, but only one of them knows his lines.
Ah, Martinaise at night. Let me see. Right here. Oh yes. Coal City. Le Royaume. The burnt-out quarter.
All of them worse than here.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Guess. Okay, just for the length of this short demonstration, please say something that isn't, I'm sorry. Guess. What is it? Yes, sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here. Oh, you know, Apocalypse, Superstellar, the advanced interesting cop, Liquid Shadow cop. But you're too sorry to say those things. So, here we go? Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info. Or maybe every time you say you're sorry, you get $1 million. That won't happen.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out.
Though he finds this situation frustrating, he is doing his best to not make you feel any worse than you already do.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and...
He shrinks back a bit under the lieutenant's severe gaze.
I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
I really didn't want to resort to this. The man is thinking.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
Transport enclosure? Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinaise canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
A vanity he wouldn't mind.
A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. I don't know. Is it? I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cop with spinners. That would be outrageous.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark. The spinners shine so bright they reflect on the lieutenant's glasses. He doesn't say anything either.
All right, let's not take them now. Then come back once we realize we have to. Have this conversation again, and then take them.
The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinaise canal.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here? The pawn shop is always open.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light of his pawn shop.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesque banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course, I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again.
Thank you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The windfall is a small consolation.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. And especially that tie. It swallows photons around it. I have no need for necrotic objects.
Your mother is a necrotic object! I'm fun! Look at me sparking in the light of the projector!
Another time, perhaps.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
How would I know?
There's a note of indignation in his voice. Interesting. Those triangle patches on his vest, you have a feeling they mean something, like they're similar to the halogen rectangle on your jacket.
Pyrrolidon is just something since the People's Power disaster. I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. Had to take it for radiation sickness.
He's taken for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Have you tried it before?
It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. Go ahead then, he thinks. As long as you can walk straight, I don't care.
Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Pyrrolidon. Straight into your gut. Not so sure about this. Because it's an anti-radiation drug, and you're a cop, not a post-apocalyptic scavenger.
Of course.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? A lot. For the room and broken window? 100 real. Well? Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow.
He's not sorry about his behavior for your sake. Now that you have money, he really wants to make sure you're not angry with him.
I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Do I have a shaky?
He sounds irritated.
Am I smiling? That's wrong.
Play it calm.
Well, you're not getting it! Arsehole!
This is a thoughtful exchange, but can we move on, please?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Rebachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of the Russia. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station coldly. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up.
When power calls you, you come. But power itself is a fragile trick of perception.
As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Courron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. Yes, the last time was 4 years ago.
He says it matter-of-factly and moves on. He has internalized it well. It's just that. A fact. A self-contained past event.
The coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Ravachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Silence. A great comment to such a conundrum. The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. There are a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad. But the years have changed that. I don't know what I believe in now. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me. Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something ominous. Something even a little feminine. But in a strict manner. Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
Do you? Well phrased. I understand answering to foreign powers doesn't sit well with immigrant bashing, but without the EMI, we would be common vigilantes. That's just the way it is. Then you will adore Martinaise. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't enjoy it much.
The lights of the orphan district are reflected in his glasses. The red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string from east to west as Ravachol commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over.
Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection left something to be desired and didn't produce enough solid leads, though. In addition, we got that body down from the tree, and we performed a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. Moreover, you found that the hanged man wasn't just hanged, he was also shot. That was some excellent detective work. And you managed to locate and pull out the bullet, so we can get ballistics, make off the gun. All this is invaluable. The rest is up to the boys in processing. Maybe they will surprise us by doing their job for once, but I wouldn't count on it. There's still work to be done at the crime scene, however. We mustn't forget that. Now for the interviews. But despite your misanthropy, we conducted an interview with Edward Clare. No small task. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. Well, we will have to work through that. We interviewed Joyce Messier, the Wild Pines rep, and learned a lot. None of it very good news for us or Martinaise, but... Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here.
They really don't like us here. The Union, the teenagers too. It's different in land. In Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company. Not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan, fallen between the cracks. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works. Our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Probably not. Anyway, positive change happens slowly. We never really get to see the impact of our actions.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The fan stands still. The lights are on. The switch must be broken because nothing happens. The air in the room is starting to feel like vaporized urine. This is not the cleanest bathtub in the world, but it's cleaner than you are right now. Ah, that soap scum smell. It smells like life, at least compared to you. The bathtub slowly fills with water. The water beckons. The water is only lukewarm, but still comforting. Like amniotic fluid, a few beer cans are bobbing up and down along your flanks, like sad duckies. You feel nice and lonely, and so tired. Now you are alone with your thoughts in the tub, but it's easier than being alone with your thoughts outside the tub. They're not even really thoughts, just assorted sensations, none of them acute enough to focus on. You see the corpse. You can still smell the cadaver on you. It's going to take more than one bath to get rid of that stench. Then, houses along a narrow street. A video rental. Darkness on the planet's curvature. Your fingers grow pale and are covered with tiny whirls as the water cools. What are you doing? You're not some fat fish in a fucking aquarium. Time to get moving. The waterline recedes as you stand. You are cold now. Your clothes stick to your still moist skin. A mirror hangs on the wall, covered in steam. You cannot see yourself, just the outlines of a man. You have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor. Really, all recollection of the person you are, the people in your life, and even the world you're in has drowned in a sea of blood alcohol. This was no mere night of drinking. It was a deluge of world-ending proportions.